Hey guys, here I am. Look at that, right on 12:15. So I thought today I'm going to actually break down exactly how to create success. There's a formula to it. Well, as best as I can see at this point in my journey, I will say. Of course, hey Melissa, we're always learning, but I mean, I'm a success coach, so I'm obsessed with focusing on this stuff. And there's a formula to it, which I've kind of put together. This is my own stuff. And I'm going to lay it out for you and attempt to get through it in 15 minutes or less. And when you see it, I think that you will agree that it all makes total sense. Okay, so How to Be Successful by Helen. Right, so I guess, and I've written it all down, so I'll be reading from my notes. This is all stuff that I teach in various chunks, but I've never actually just put it together in one flow before. So here we go. So firstly, we need to decide, well, what actually is success? Because I can tell you, sure as shit, just because somebody's got a lot of money doesn't mean that they necessarily feel successful. Most of the time, they don't. And people that don't have a lot of money can certainly feel very, very successful as well. So generally, the way I look at success, what is success? It's essentially feeling satisfaction in those areas that I talk about all the time per MASH. So you're talking about your positive emotions, you're talking about your engagement in life, you're talking about your relationships, talking about money, financial position, talking about your achievements. These are satisfaction levels, not, have you achieved all these massive, accomplishments? It's like, how satisfied are you in these particular areas? So how satisfied are you in your spirituality and expressing yourself? How satisfied are you in your health? And then I'll add, if there's anything else in there that you want that really matters, that you want to measure. So I like to measure how satisfied I am with my appearance, because I have a tendency to just like knuckle down and not focus on that, and that's going to have consequences. So I add that in there as something that matters for me. Okay, so if we're feeling satisfied, generally satisfied on those themes, we're generally feeling pretty successful. Okay, so how do we go about doing that? So the next thing is we need to focus. Okay, so we need to find out what's the priority in our life. As we look at our life as a whole, holistically, what is the priority? What's the big domino that, if that domino falls, is going to have a ripple-on effect in the rest of those areas? And the best question to ask is, and you hear me ask this all the time, what's the one thing, and it comes from the book, The One Thing, what's the one thing that by so doing will make everything else easier or irrelevant? Just find out what that one thing is, because it's like a woodpecker. If we were like a woodpecker and we flit around from tree to tree and we peck a bit here and peck a bit there and peck a bit here and peck a bit there, we don't get any momentum, we don't get any weight behind anything. So you need to focus, you need to take your energy and focus it like on that one domino, all your might, to push that one domino over, because that's going to have that ripple on effect. So what is that thing, and decide what that thing is, and then you choose a goal around that thing. Okay, what is it that you want to do? Okay, and then that goal is like, okay, this is my goal. Okay, so how do I achieve that goal? How do I actually find success around that goal? And the way we do it is what I call the 7 alignments. So, and if we don't have, there's 7 things that I believe need to be all pointing in one direction for us to be able to make really good progress towards a goal that we have. Okay, so let's say we've chosen our goal, and the first of these 7 alignments is our conscious mind. Okay, our conscious mind, it just wants to thrive. It's the part of ourselves that says, hey, I think that goal is a great idea. What would that do for me? It's like, what do you want? What will that do for you? And then what's the priority? That's your conscious mind. Most of us have got that pretty down. Okay, because we've set the goal. So that's our conscious mind setting the goal. It's pointing in that direction. Then is our subconscious mind. And it's a pretty big one. So our subconscious mind, all it wants to do is survive. Its job is just to keep you alive long enough to have children, look after the children, and then after that, it's good that you stay alive, but that's its main job. And our subconscious mind knows that everything that you've been through up until now is survivable. So if you've been through, whatever relationship stuff you've been through, whatever money stuff you've been through, whatever work stuff you've been through, you got through it, you survived it, and your conscious mind has flagged that and said, okay, right, I know that being broke is survivable, so just give me more of that, please. Okay, your subconscious mind is, I saw a wonderful analogy a couple of days ago about conscious mind versus subconscious mind. And it was, there's my dog barking at neighbors, hopefully. So imagine you're going to cross a river, and here you are, and you come to one end, and you want to get to the other side, which is your goal. And you've got this massive iceberg, and your job is to float the iceberg across to the other side and reach your goal. And you see this tip of the iceberg at the top, and then of course you've got the massive iceberg at the bottom. Now the tip of the iceberg is your conscious mind, and you get given a paddle, and and they say, okay, so you're going to jump on this iceberg, and with your little paddle, paddle your way across to the other side. But what you can't see is the iceberg underneath, which is actually your subconscious mind. And in this example, this is going to be hard enough with a paddle anyway, but in this example, it was like there were two propellers pointing in completely the opposite direction, pushing you that way. So it's exactly the same analogy. If your conscious mind just wants to survive, it's going to be like, well, why are you doing that? I don't know, that's unproven, that's not, we don't know about that, and it'll do everything in its power to sabotage you so that, your subconscious, so that you survive. Your subconscious is not your enemy. Your subconscious has very, very, very good loving intentions for you, but sometimes they don't always match up with what your conscious mind wants. Oftentimes it's almost a complete opposite. The next thing that we want to get in alignment is our body and biochemistry. So there's two parts to that. Firstly is just your health, okay? So that's like a no-brainer. The physical body that you're going to take yourself across in, if that's not working optimally, everything else is going to be that much more difficult. Okay, but what I want to talk about more is your biochemistry. So we're talking about the feelings, the chemicals that we actually flood our body with. We become addicted to our feelings. So let's say you've lived all your life broke, and our biochemistry is intricately connected to our subconscious mind. Like there's like a lot of these things touch everything else, but these two are totally in cahoots. All right, so let's say you've lived all your life broke, and you're used to feeling broke, used to feeling frustrated, used to feeling a victim, used to feeling, jealous or whatever, and other people are achieving and I'm not, and then we decide with our conscious mind that we're going to do something different, and we do something different, even though it's kind of scary, and our subconscious mind's going, whoop, 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 don't do this. You manage to overcome that, and you do that. But eventually, what's going to happen is you're not getting your fix of broke or victim or whatever it is, frustration, and and your body in cahoots with the subconscious mind is going to sabotage you again, so you can get that same old fix, and your body just wants to stay the same. Your subconscious wants you to survive, your body wants you to stay the same, to maintain that balance. Someone's come in. I thought my husband was already here. Anyway, doesn't matter. Now, the next thing that wants to be in alignment is your heart and soul. And I could have put this at the front, but I didn't, because it really demonstrates the importance of this. This one trumps everything else. Okay, my job as a coach is to say, okay, what's the tree and how do you get there? But if you're barking up the wrong tree and you get there, well, what the hell was that all about? What was the point? What is it that you're really meant to be doing in the world? What is it that fills your cup? You've got these ideas and your conscious mind goes, well, I should be doing this, and I should be doing that, and da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, but if deep in your soul, you've been called towards something, there's always, and it's not that thing that you think you should be doing, or it's not the goal that you set, you're going to be constantly having this pull in the opposite direction. So it's kind of like tent pegs. You're like, this is pointing this way. Your conscious mind sending your goal this way, but your subconscious is pulling you back. Your biochemistry is pulling you back. Your heart is pointing you in this direction. So it's really important that either, well, I'll talk about how we actually implement all of this stuff, but your heart and soul just wants to evolve spiritually. So that's why we get led down these crazy paths that sometimes they make no sense and they can be incredibly painful. But don't we grow? Aren't we the wiser for it? Don't we appreciate those lessons? All right, so once we've got those in alignment, the other things we need are your environment. So environment is huge. You need to, a fish does not survive out of water. Your environment needs to point in that direction, and it can be anyone who's ever gone from a 9-to-5 job into entrepreneurship suddenly realizes the environment that was around them that set them up for success in the 9-to-5 in corporate or whatever it is. Okay, take that away, you take that environment away, and all of a sudden it's like, holy crap, this is a whole new pond that I'm swimming in. What I need, what is required of me to become successful is something completely new. So environment is massive. Okay, the next one is strategy. You have to have a strategy that's going to get you to where you want to go. In my book, some people will put all of their faith in manifestation and just sitting on a rock and meditating. I'm not that person. I don't have that much belief in it. I think that you need to have one foot in the woo-woo, one foot in 3D. Do as much as you can in this real world that we know to try and shape reality, and then do as much as you can in, the energetic realm as well. And I think, taking action really demonstrates how much, I don't know, it has there's some kind of interlink between the energy in the energetic realm and, the action that you take in what we call the real world as well. So your strategy is important. You need to build yourself the right machine to get you where you want to go. Okay, if your business model is broken, doesn't matter how good all the other things are, that thing is broken, and putting all your time, energy, and focus into a broken car is silly. So your strategy has to be pointing in that direction. It needs to be the right strategy. And the final thing is your vibration, and that is intricately hooked into as well your biochemistry, how we're feeling, our identity. Are we actually existing, embodying the person that we're becoming? Because that brings into our experience, either in the 3D world or the energetic world, whichever one you subscribe to, it's the same, brings into our experiences opportunities and people that help bring our goals to reality. Okay, so they're the 7 things that need to be pointing in the right direction. So, let's say you've got, I just want to demonstrate the vibrational thing as well. So let's say I want to be, essentially I want to be a speaker on a stage and impact the world on all these kinds of things, but vibrationally, day to day, you're feeling that you're unworthy. You're feeling you are inauthentically expressing yourself to your family. There's a vibrational mismatch there. So it's really important to make sure that you're embodying your vibration and embodying the identity of the person that you're becoming, feeling the feelings of having the goal already. Okay, so how do we go about doing all this, implementing it? So the first thing to know is to just get your mindset right. So I talk about the 4 C's. And the 4 C's is, firstly, you could call it culpability, you could call it your creator complex. It's essentially just taking responsibility for everything, your complete life situation. I created this. Until you can do that, you are not in a position of power to create other things as well. So you need to take responsibility. I did this. I created this. I am the creator of my life. And then once you accept that as 100% true, then you can open up your mind to curiosity. Well, how would I go about doing that? You always have to be mindful of being in a curious mindset. Having a mindset that kind of says things how they are, it casts judgments, statements, is very limiting. it's kind of like, I always use examples, a relationship example, because it's easy to see. It's like, that guy's a wanker. Okay, that's the perfect example. Instead of being curious and go, oh, you know, I wonder why he behaved that way. You know, another one, I'm trying to think of a real world example. Okay, here's one. I will never find the right staff in this state. Okay, I heard that one this week. I'll never find the right staff in this state. The people here, they just don't have what it takes. Versus, I wonder how we could create an establishment of excellence that attracts the best staff in the state, the best practitioners in the state to work in my business. Do you see the difference it makes? So you must be always in a curious mindset. The next thing is courage. The third C is courage. Like, you know, I'm going to have to do something a little bit different. I'm going to have to step out of my comfort zone. If I don't recognize that there's going to be fear along with what it is that I'm creating, then perhaps I'm not creating something that's quite big enough that's stretching myself. So there's always going to be a bit of courage required. And then the fourth C is commitment. You know, committing to that goal, that outcome, because why? It's the one thing that by so doing, everything else becomes easier or irrelevant. Hey, Smith. Okay. So now let's dive into it. So we're going to look at our 7 alignments. We've got our goal. We've got our 7 alignments. We know what they are. We've got the mindset right. And now we're actually going to start tweaking those knobs and dials of the 7 alignments to give us the best chance of success. All right, so we're going to look for low-hanging fruit. The low-hanging fruit to start with is your health. Okay, get that right. You can do practical things. There are lots and lots of practical things. Drinking enough water, eating the right foods, lots of greens, getting rid of the processed foods in your cupboard, speaking to a qualified health professional. AJ is the guy here to talk to about that. So if you've got health stuff going on, your health stuff is not optimal, like before you go talking to me or anyone else, like hit up AJ. Okay, because that's going to make everything else so much easier. So that's your first piece of low-hanging fruit, just doing the things that you know are going to make a big difference in your health. Okay, the next thing is your heart and soul. So either, and I know this can be disruptive, change your goal, or reframe your goal as an essential milestone on what it is that your heart truly desires. Once you can do that, you can see that that's actually in alignment. Then it doesn't feel like this thing over here is in in some kind of battle with what my heart truly wants. You know, if it's an essential milestone, if you really need to knock that domino over first, just reframe it in that way. Understand that it's a step on your path to success. Okay, so the next one that we'll knock over is going to be your vibration and your conscious mind. So your conscious mind is kind of working all the time. It's already chosen the goal, but start dreaming, just like I spoke to on Monday. Your conscious mind is the one that can conjure up all kinds of images. What would that be like? How would I feel? Because your conscious mind, your mind doesn't understand the difference between an experience that you have in real life and experience that you imagine. So we can start imagining scenarios of us already achieving the goal. And we can start flooding our body with those chemicals and start weaning ourselves off how we used to feel and get ourselves used to these new feelings, these new chemicals, so that when it does show up, it's not like you're suddenly going cold turkey. You know, it's the old, people win the lottery. 5 years down the track, they're broke again. Okay, so the thing with that as well, what else can we do? You can play music. Music is it's a hack. It's a vibrational hack. You know, what are the pieces of music that just get you in that vibration, that get you feeling on top of the world, that you feel like you've already achieved the thing? Use it. Listen to it. Okay. Another one that we teach is we call it anchoring. So you can anchor to a specific stimulus, like I like to pinch my finger, or like a scent. So I've got this here, which I have a very specific scenario attached to that. Smelling that instantly raises my vibration. There's lots of stuff that we can do about that. Okay, so, and the good thing about that, once you've raised your vibration into embodying, you know, the feelings and the person who you're becoming, you're going to be in an excellent place to make decisions around creating your strategy. Okay, so what is it that you're actually going to do? And your strategy must speak to the environment, especially the environmental factors that you really don't have too much control over. All right, so your strategy you're doing with an eye to the environmental factors that you can't control. Okay, so then after we've got our strategy, we're like, well, what about our environment? Okay, and I spoke on that last week, the hacks that we can do that just gets success kind of working for us in the background, the things that we can tweak, the stuff in our visual field. You know, I have a hair over here which represents something very important to me. I have, you know, imagine it, dream it behind here. I have lots of things in my environment that are secretly kind of working towards my success. I specifically curate who I hang around. You know, the time I spend are with people who are already playing a game at a high level. You know, and I know when I first started on my coaching journey that I would just get myself in coaching. I wouldn't care, you know, if people were paying or not. I just wanted to coach and get that experience. So how can you tweak your environment to set you up for success? And then finally, the big mofo, your subconscious mind. So get all of those other things pointing in the right direction first, and then when it comes time to actually start changing your subconscious patterns, your job is going to be so much easier because you've got all these 6 other dudes already pointing and pulling in this direction, you know. So when you start making those subconscious shifts through, you know, the subconscious change work that I do or Stan does, you set yourself up on a much, you have that much more of advantage, you know, to actually turn that iceberg around and point it in the direction to where it is that you want to go. So I think that's it. It's not 15 minutes, it's 18, sorry, 17. I was 2 minutes over, but that's how you create success. Okay, and it's really that simple. So if you want to have a chat about any of that to set yourself up with some goals, to really look at what's going to be the priority, figuring out what that big domino is, let me know. I'm offering 30-minute problem-solving chats. We can just get on Zoom. We can nut out what this is going to look like for you, and we can kind of get you going in the right direction. So I hope that you found that helpful. It's the first time I've actually laid that out from start to finish in one formula. And can you deny it? No, I can't see at this point anything else that really you need to focus on as a person creating your own success in life and feeling satisfied around those areas of your positive emotions, your engagement in life, your relationships, your money situation, your achievements, your spirituality, and your health. So that's me. Enjoy your day and hope to hear from some of you. See you guys.